Hello, welcome. Hope you guys had a great Memorial Day weekend. Mine was solid, so lots to talk about. For starters, training to close last week. I think it went okay, but the real test is this week when I'll be closing by myself. If yesterday was anything to go by, I'm going to be at the store at least an hour after we're supposed to close. So I'm really looking forward to that, but I worked as hard as I could Friday, and I actually got the schedule set out, like, before Saturday, which was nuts. Although, come to find out, I messed up on it quite a bit. But that way I was able to try to enjoy time with Mariah. So my friend Mariah, who I talked about before, she's the one that introduced me to that jazz club thing. She's in town for like one more week, but all last weekend she was left alone by her normal roommates. They were all doing stuff for the 3-day weekend. She's like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, well, I'm off Saturday, so I'm gonna kidnap you and we're gonna just do Nashville things, because why not? We started off early in the morning. We went to a place called Star Bagel, which is delicious. And she had an everything bagel for the first time in her life. Like, who has not had everything bagels? And that had it as an egg sandwich, which apparently she had never had an egg sandwich on a bagel before, when it was just never had an egg sandwich on an everything bagel. And she's like, this is like the perfect breakfast sandwich. And I'm like, yup. But then we went from there and kind of drove around downtown to see what it looked like during the day. And then we headed to Centennial Park, walked around for a bit because we saw something online that said Musician's Corner at Centennial Park starts at noon. We're like, all right, let's do it. It's free. So we get there at like 9 o'clock, 9:30. We just kind of walk the park. And it's kind of humid, but then we start hearing music and noises and like they're doing like mic checks and stuff. So we kind of mosey on over to where they have the stage set up. At 12 o'clock, they're like, hey, thanks for joining us. We'd like to thank our sponsors. And then they like listed off everybody that was there at the venue. He goes, all right, and first thing that start at 12:30 is yoga, and then the first band starts at 1:30. And she and I were like, seriously? All right, we'll wait. But as we waited, it got muggier and muggier and more humid, and then like storm clouds started coming in. Okay, the rainstorms here, when it rains, it is torrential. And I don't know if it's being in the city or if it's being in the basin surrounded by mountains, but anytime it rains a ton, and there's always some sort of flooding. Not like bad flooding, but like pulling up my car in front of my house and trying to get out through 4 to 6 inches of running water. Flooding, constant, like consistently. It's always gone. It always finds the drain, but it's when it rains is when it's bad. And I was like, I don't really want to be here when the rain comes because we're kind of a ways from the car and I know we're gonna get rained on. She's like, we're fine. We can get rained on. We were gonna go swimming later at the apartment anyway. Like, we'll just get rained on. I'm like, okay, we're just gonna get rained on. And we got rained on. Luckily, we made it to the car before the torrential downpour. And she's like, man, that would have been bad to be in. Yup. So we came back to my place and I changed into dry clothes and then grabbed my swimsuit because then we went to her apartment where she's renting for her internship and they had a pool. Only like all the gates were locked to get into it. So we had to like Mission Impossible our way around to find we had to go in through the club room that was actually closed because it was reserved for a birthday party, but nobody was in there. And then we used the club room door to get out to go to the pool. And it was great. And then we got there and we were swimming and it was awesome. And then the one thing that we knew that she really wanted to do, when we'd been driving around downtown, she saw a record store and she was like, ooh, can we go? It was like right off Broadway. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, we can go. Let's just go back later at night. That way you can see what Broadway looks back in the full swing of things. She's like, oh yeah, that would be cool. And the record store was open until midnight anyway, so that was the only other thing left on her docket. So we're at her apartment and she goes, hey, I know you wanted to go to that jazz thing with me again. She's like, but there's this guy and he has a concert and I want to go see him. And I'm like, this guy has a concert, you want to go see him? She goes, yeah. So I was at this house concert. My internship director, like he's friends with a bunch of people that are Catholic that do music here in town. And so he had like a private house concert that was invitation only. And I went there and they had a few people playing. And this guy brought his upright bass and he came and he played and he sings. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay, like, honesty hour, I was kind of reserved when I heard it, because I'm like, oh boy, there's this guy that does the same thing as me, and he's already better at it, and he sounds great, and he's already got, like, all the support down here, and he's probably phenomenal, and it's just, she wants me to go with her to this concert, and it's just gonna be me watching somebody do something better than I can, and a reminder of, like, why the heck are you down here? Not that any of that internal dialogue ever came out, but when we were at her apartment, she goes, well, why don't you go ahead and look him up on YouTube? I'm like, all right. And so I pull up his videos on YouTube and was very impressed. Watching him play was was more encouraging than discouraging. He very obviously loved making music and was good at what he does, and if anything, it made me miss playing with people like that. That being said, he's also crazily, like, much higher skilled than I am. He's also apparently been playing the bass since he was like 6, so there is that to take into account. So tickets for this concert were only $5 more than Jazz, and it was like, all right, well, I guess we'll go do this thing. So we bought our tickets, and then from her apartment, we had I had this thing from Gigi's Cupcakes, must-see things in Nashville, and one of them was Old Hickory Steakhouse, which was located in the Gaylord Opryland Resort. And I'm like, oh, this will be cool to show Mariah. Like, she has no idea what it is. And so we were talking music, and we get in the car, and we're getting ready to leave. She goes, oh, you have a Bluetooth cassette. I need to play you some songs. You need to hear these songs. You're gonna love this. And so she started playing Panic at the Disco. So this is one of the videos. Change into a person I don't wanna be, so oh, it's Saturday night. She's a dork and I love her immensely. So anyway, we went to the Opryland Resort thing, and we went to the steakhouse, which was way more expensive than I thought it was gonna be. So we got fries and macaroni and cheese instead of any $30 or $40 entree. And then we just start walking around, and the whole time she was like, whoa, whoa, look at it. It was great. It was funny to watch her reaction. But then we get to like the convention center, and they had 2 conventions going on. And one of them was the K-Love Awards. And like nobody was there, which was kind of a bummer. But they had this huge poster up, and I'm like, oh, look at that. And I stopped because there was a giant picture of Toby Mac. And I recognized him, and Mariah's like, that's your guy, isn't it? And I'm like, yep, that's the guy. So she took the picture, and then we kind of explored a little bit and saw that like they had dinner there, but nobody else was there. It was like a ghost town. But there was another convention going on. There was like some weird retro western, I don't even know what it was called, but like the theme of it was Nashville, and so everybody was wearing like 50s to 70s style western clothes, or just like 50s styles clothes in general. So like that room they're going into there, they had like a bunch of different people selling all these styles of clothes. It was really cool to see. But then we go in this other room, and like the doors were very well soundproof because they opened up and we're like, whoa, there's music. And we walk in there, and this is what we find. Anyway, you can't really hear very well, but it was incredibly loud. The video did not capture it equally. And like the main singer was British, and the guitar player was Japanese that didn't speak any English. And they're just playing like this kind of music. It was just really cool to see people that had a deep love for something all kind of come together from all corners of the world. That was kind of funky. So here's some photos from just the clothing that they were selling in the convention hall. Basically, I just took a lot of pictures because I knew that my friend Steven would get a kick out of them. That, and I love like 50s Rat Pack style clothing. This next one, the shirt that really stuck out to me was that weird harvest orange and white shirt. That was a really cool outfit. Love the little Newsies hat and the suspenders. But yeah, so they had some really cool stuff there. And it was just neat to see, and it was totally out of the blue. So then we went from the resort back to my house, and we took an Uber to downtown Broadway. It was really funny though. We're getting ready to get in the car, and she's like, wow, it's already 10 o'clock. Is there even gonna be anybody on Broadway? Are you kidding me? So this video I actually took for David. It was some sort of wedding vehicle. Yeah, it's crazy. Like on downtown Broadway. It's nuts. And Mariah was under 21, so we didn't even go into any bars or anything. We were just walking around looking at all the neon, and you could hear the music just being pumped out, which was kind of cool. We went to her record store. She was a little disappointed. There was like no jazz music. That was what she was really looking for. All kinds of country though, and you had to look really hard to find anything that wasn't country, but I succeeded a couple times. That's so dumb. Dulcimer classics. Mariah joined me at church, and she kind of talked me into reaching out to him to see if I could help with worship. Again, I had done it before. Like, I had emailed him, and I hadn't heard anything back, and anytime I talked to him, he would just tell me, like, I'm so sorry, I had a really busy week. I'm really planning on getting a hold of you next week. And it had been, like, the same song and dance for probably, like, 2.5 months. So I had just kind of given up, but then Mariah's like, no, go talk to him. Alright. Only I went to the pastor, because the pastor's recognized me a few times. It's almost like I'm memorable or something. I'm like, hey, I really would love to get involved in worship. I'm unsure where I should start. And he's like, oh, you need to start to the guy that does the worship team. He's great. He'll get you set up. Alright, but I listened to him and I went to talk to the guy again. And like Sunday, the talk actually went really well. The guy's actually gone this next week on vacation, but he was very serious in wanting to hear me play the bass. And then when I told him I could sing, he goes, oh, and I'd love to hear you sing. So I really don't know what it's gonna look like. And I don't want to talk about too much what was said just in case I jinx it. Prayers would definitely be appreciated with that, because I would love the opportunity to make music with other people and worship using my instrument with other people. So then I came back to my house and I waited for Mariah, because then we had that concert to go to. It was at a bar and grill restaurant called Third and Lindsay, but it looked pretty hip. And then you go inside and we found like an empty table and we're like, score, because the place was packed when we went in there. We saw some open bar stools up on like a higher level, but they didn't have a table or anything. And I was wearing a dress and I didn't want to sit super high, but check out this. Who got good seats? We did. Who got good seats? We got good seats. Woo! I was pretty excited. Only bad thing about those seats is people kept standing in front of us. So this is the first guy that went up. He was like the opening act for this other bassist play that we went to go watch. He played guitar and sang. He was kind of like an Ed Sheeran. Moving on to a place where the distance stays at bay. Fill my face with smoke. They tell me it's a joke, and at the same time it's all a phase. I hit a roadblock where the goals stop being right in front of my face. Then Scott came up, the upright bass player.
As you may have heard it on Mighty 100. We're big fans. Give it up for Scott Mulvahill.
Oh yeah, the guy, the whole concert was like live streamed onto their radio station here that supports local artists. So that was kind of cool. I was on the radio. So he's really good. This is one of my favorite songs of his. You're living if you're trying, even if you're not flying, but standing still, you still just die. I may never make it and I don't care. Woo! You gotta keep coming till the run out of air. I may never make it and I don't care. It's all about steps, not the top of the stairs. Never get the chance to shine. Such a good song.
She ain't no high heel, spray tan, Los Angeles. Roots fall on solid ground. And this Houston boy is right at home.
Yeah, that was him playing guitar, because he also plays guitar. Okay, I really loved this song when I heard it.
Oh, my sweet Simsonia. Oh, my sweet songbird of the South. Where would I be without my sweet Simsonia?
Hearing that song live was like chill and tear-inducing. It was insane.
Oh, my sweet Simsonia. Oh, my sweet Simsonia. Oh, my sweet bride of heaven. She is calling my heart home. My sweet Simsonia. My sweet Simsonia. My sweet Simsonia.
The guy was awesome to watch. They did do some Paul Simon, because he loves Paul Simon.
She makes the sign, teaspoon, makes the sign on the way. Four more changes clothes, puts on aftershave. Compensate for his ordinary shit. She said, honey, take me dancing with the internet about sleeping in a doorway. By the bodegas and the lights on her balcony. Diamonds on the soles of his shoes. I can see everybody you know now is talking about it.
It's the falsetto, and it's doing like the crazy. It's nuts.
Diamonds on the soles of his shoes.
And then he even did have us all do the na 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 na. Anyway, it was a really cool concert, and we stood around to try to talk to him later, but the universe had conspired against us, and we got interrupted all 3 times that we tried to talk to him, that we waited to talk to him. But Mariah had a blast, and she's here for 1 more week, and I think we're gonna do the jazz thing. Anyway, way longer week, and I am running behind on time than what I thought I was. So thank you for listening to me ramble and show you all of my videos of my adventures. Know that I miss you, dear people who watch this, and I hope that you guys have a great week. Because I mean, hey, it's only a 4-day week, right? See you guys next time.